graveyard Mackenzie poltergeist. Did anybody miss that? Did you miss that? No? Say that's a yes. Now, the Covenanters prison itself has got a lot of history behind it. I have to try and condense this history down to about 60 seconds. Does anybody here a historian? Does anybody think they're a historian? There's always one. No? You sure? You look like the one that normally does know a lot of history. Am I wrong?
Yes, you're wrong.
I'm right, and I know I'm right. Now, the Covenanters prison itself dates back hundreds of years. Now, very, very briefly, what happened was a king came to power of both Scotland and England. Does anybody hear English? Yeah. Did you just tell her she's not English? Normally people know these things, don't they?
I thought you said, have you heard English?
Well, you're in Scotland, you probably haven't, to be honest. Now, two of you are English. Anybody else? Just the two of you over there. Now, we never used to get on very well. Everybody aware of this fact? World's best documented fact, perhaps? We get on great now, don't we? She's saying it depends what you're going to say next. Now, a king came to power of us both, and some people thought it might be a problem. Sharing a king, how could they? But we were okay with this because we actually really liked that king. However, that king then decided to try and change our church here in Scotland. One thing he didn't mess with the Scottish people was their church. Hundreds of years ago, we were very, very religious people. We said, no, you're okay, thank you. We'll just leave our church as it is. The king said, tough. I'm changing everything about it. A group of men met inside this very graveyard, Greyfriars, and signed something called the Covenant. This stated if the king pushed forward these changes, these men would battle with their own king over this. That king died making these changes. The next king came to power. He pushed them through, and our men went down and battled with our king. And of course, in true Scottish fashion, we lost. Two at the back Scottish, yeah. Recurring history, yes. It is, isn't it? Yeah. Now, don't laugh, the man at the back who's English. Big smug look on your face. Haha, we won that one as well. Yes, you won them all almost. Now, as our men lost the battle, the men who survived were brought back to Edinburgh. The man who was Lord Advocate at the time in charge of all the prosecutions was a man called George Mackenzie, with the nickname Bloody Mackenzie, because he loved bloodshed. With these men who survived the battle, he marched them inside Greyfriars and into this section here where you're standing. At the time, this was one big field. These mausoleums were not on it at the time. The men were made to lie down for almost 4 months near a Scottish winter, wearing one layer of clothing. A lot of these men died over the months. A lot of them were tortured inside here. This is said to have been one of the world's first concentration camps. It was that bad. Now, there was eventually not very many men left, and George Mackenzie decided with these men to sell them off as slaves. The men boarded a ship, the ship set sail, and the ship sunk. Now, it is heavily, heavily disputed. If anybody survived, how many survived, we don't know an exact figure. What we do know is if anybody did survive this, it was very, very few. Now, I'm going to take you inside something called the Black Mausoleum. This is this one just next to me. This is the main site that people get interacted with by the Mackenzie poltergeist. Now, anybody who hasn't already twigged, George Mackenzie, Mackenzie poltergeist, we believe that it is this man.